Jeep Meridian is an in-between kind of SUV. It's premium and rugged, but it isn't as lavish and sedan-like as the Škoda Kodiaq. It isn't as rugged and imposing as the Toyota Fortuner. To make sense of it, it's best to look within the Jeep family, to the Compass on which the Meridian has been built. It's bigger and more expensive than the Compass, but calling it a Compass XL isn't the complete picture. This Jeep has a different personality. It's more relaxed and more complete, because of which it will be the better Jeep for most people. Sure, it has its shortcomings. Its engine is lazy, and its third row is a gimmick. But if your tastes veer towards Jeep, the solidness of build quality, the incredible travelability, and that sprinkling of luxury on top, you will be tempted by the Meridian. I would love to travel in one, but to buy one, you must know why it's captivating but frustrating. Jeep's designers must be a frustrated lot. On the one hand, they've created this handsome-looking machine. I do. But on the other, they have to deal with Compass जैसी दिखती है. I get the confusion. The family look is strong. It looks too similar to the Compass for something that's bigger and more expensive. But it is different. It looks more expensive. The use of chrome on this Overland is classy. Look past the grille and you'll realize everything is different from the Compass. It had to be. It's a bigger car. It's longer nose to tail. It's longer between the wheels. It's taller. It stands higher off the ground to maintain its off-road ability. To me, it looks athletic and elite. It looks more Grand Cherokee than Compass. The frustration for car buyers will be its road presence. It isn't taller than the Fortuner. It doesn't have the same kind of road presence. It will not tower. Jeep deserves a shout out though for those wheels. They are beautiful. If anybody who's watching needs a direction for alloy wheel design, pick this. It would be no mistake to follow Jeep's lead when it comes to cabin design either. Yes, it looks just like the Compass, but the differences are tasteful. The sexily ruffled fabric on the dash, the sleek metallic border, and the quilting for the seats. Kia, if you're listening, this is how it's done. It all feels like automotive seduction. The seats are like old money. There's a sense of restrained luxury with the necessary equipment in place. But underneath, there's a sense of practicality. They are comfortable for the long haul. It also feels like it's built for the long haul. Solid. Some things will take time to get used to, like the controls for the air conditioning system. But it's easy to use on the go, just like the playback controls behind the steering wheel. It is thoughtfully designed. Nothing is done for the sake of it. The screens are sharp and easy to use. The seats are flexible in their adjustment, and the sound system is good. All of which is shared with the Compass. It feels like a more puffed up Compass. The hood can be seen more clearly. Everything seems further away. You feel like you're sitting higher up, which makes sense since it is a wider and a taller car. It's comfortable in the front seats. And the rear seats have gotten better. They get stadium-style seating, which is to say, the seats are mounted higher up, so you don't feel like you're sunken inside the cabin. The better view makes it more enjoyable for longer distances, and the seats are comfy for that. But there is a problem, a big one. For a bigger car, it's not offering more space. With a 6-footer in the driver's seat, you will feel cramped in the back seat. It needed a sliding second row so that it could be more comfortable for more people for longer journeys. You might imagine this is to leave room for the third row, but that's not the case. The third row is kind of like a horse walks into a bar kind of situation, followed by a knock-knock, because even getting into the third row is a challenge. Boot space with all 3 rows up is okay. You can manage an overnighter and some soft luggage. With the third row folded down, you can pack in a lot, but not as much as other options in this price range. With the second and third row folded, you get a flat floor, which is convenient for packing in a lot or to catch a nap in. You also get a power tailgate. Great. There is great news when you hit the road as well. It's more composed and more grown up. Its diesel engine is shared with the Compass, but it feels smoother and quieter here. The Compass felt rough at startup. The Meridian doesn't. But remember, this is a Jeep yardstick. Other modern diesels, even lower down in the price range, will be smoother and quieter than this. The Meridian feels more grown up in the way it drives as well. It's more measured and respectful in the way it drives, which is good to make your way around in the city. And for cruising on the highway, it is satisfying. But when you're driving on narrower roads and need to make quick overtakes, or just want to drive faster, the Jeep doesn't just feel grown up, it feels old. It's like flogging an old horse. It takes time to get going, and even when it does, it's best to have a bit of patience, which can be painful at times. Traveling in the Meridian will be anything but painful. It feels calm and relaxed over any kind of road because of the way the suspension works. It deals with speeds in the same way, which means it's relaxed when cruising on the highway and at home at lower speeds in the city. The Compass, ironically, while being smaller and lighter, isn't comfortable in the city. It's too firm at low speeds. The Meridian isn't plush, but you will want to travel in it. The Meridian can be the benchmark for balancing SUV-like and sedan-like in the way the suspension works. It's one of the few cars that my wife, an acutely carsick person, I know, the irony, spent time in the backseat of happily, again and again. Just for that, I would ignore all the squeaks and noises inside the cabin. In the city, you won't be happy with the Meridian because of money. In the city, the Meridian, just like the Compass, robs you of the joy of diesel economics. In stop-go Mumbai traffic, getting 7 to 8 kmpl would feel like an achievement. At higher speeds on the highway, it improves dramatically to 16 to 18 kmpl, which is more than acceptable considering it's also carrying the additional weight of 4x4 hardware on this variant. I would love to geek out on that hardware, but there are 2 things you should keep in mind. At 100 kmph, the Meridian's engine is spinning at just 1500 RPM, which is even lower than the Compass, and explains why it's more laid back and why any changes would have had other consequences, which we'll talk about later. It also rarely uses the first gear, only engaging it on steep inclines, basically for when you need a lot of grunt, like when you're going off-road. And it has serious off-road hardware, 4-wheel low and lock modes, which means it's got more than enough capability than most people will need to get to their farmhouses. More people will be happier to know that it's better For mall crawls, its chin, unlike the Compass, won't scrape going over ramps or speed breakers. So the Meridian is better than the Compass. It's because it's the more complete Jeep. It's more comfortable, it's more refined, it's more practical. The Compass is more zippy and more fun to drive. But for most people on most days, the trade-off will be worth it. But is the price tag worth it? That is hard to justify. The Meridian should have offered more space in the second row and third row. It should have felt more refined in the way it drives. The smoothness of the engine and the quietness of the cabin should have been better. But if you are picking between the made in India Jeeps, then bigger is better, but not by that much.